Okay, it's 6:30. We will get started with our District 99 Pathways Masterclass. So I'd like to formally welcome everybody to the training session and thank you for dedicating your evening to join us. My name is Linnell Bird and I will be your moderator for this evening's webinar. So I'll walk you through a little bit of the technical setup for those that haven't used Zoom before. We'll talk about the agenda. We've got four presentations, three presenters this evening. So we'll work through each of those parts as we move through the webinar. Let's start with, here's the team that will be presenting to you this evening. Lana is in Toronto, so I'll present on her behalf. And we do have Richard and Alex and Dotun that will be presenting to us this evening. Okay, some housekeeping items for those that are new to the Zoom application. Just a few reminders. Ensure that you're in a quiet environment. I have placed everybody on mute, so when we get to the Q&A session, you're welcome to take yourself off mute, but we're going to leave everybody on mute during the presentation. If you do have a microphone on your headset, then you're welcome to jump in at the Q&A session. If you don't have a microphone, not to worry. You can type your questions into the Zoom chat window as well. And I'm going to just show a brief how to use Zoom presentation.
Joining and configuring your audio and video within a Zoom meeting can be quick and easy. If you see the Join Audio icon in the bottom left-hand corner of your Zoom meeting window, simply select the icon and select Join Audio Conference by Computer to join your microphone and speaker to the Zoom meeting. If you're having issues hearing or having others hear you, select Audio Options and test computer mic and speakers. From here, you'll be able to test your speaker as well as your microphone. You can select the drop-down arrow to see the speaker and microphone selected. For video, just select the up arrow and then video settings to check the camera. For video, just select the up arrow and then video settings to check the camera selected.
Okay, I'll just pause briefly. Does anybody have any questions about using the Zoom and navigating? If you do need to find your group chat window, if you drag your mouse down to the bottom of the screen, there'll be an icon that will bring up that chat window for you. Okay, our master class this evening has 5 components to it. So this is our agenda for the evening. We're going to start by looking at an overview of the curriculum. Then we're going to move on to how to navigate through the platform. We will talk about how to complete your projects. We will also talk about Basecamp managers. So this would be your VP Education, and your president can help you out with that. And I believe your secretary as well. And then we're going to wrap up with some success story sharing. After each of the 4 presentations, we're going to pause for a Q&A session. So if you have questions, you have the option to either type them in the chat window or just hold them until the end of each of those 4 presentations, and then you can take yourself off mute during that Q&A session, and we'll make sure that we have 4 Q&A sessions throughout the presentation. Lana is currently the Program Quality Director for District 99, so her focus is really on educational opportunities for all of our members within the District 99. Her charter club is Evolution Toastmasters, which she founded with 28 members, and her club recently celebrated its 4th year anniversary. So Lana asked me to share with everybody. She wants to send along her sincere wishes, gratitude, and the best of luck to everybody in the class. So again, thank you everybody for joining this evening, and I am certain that you'll learn some new and interesting information about pathways as you continue your learning journey. So it is my pleasure to introduce our first presenter, Alex Banjak. Alex is a full-time investment advisor, part-time Toastmaster, and full-time with overtime dad of 2 and soon to be 3. He has completed a self-imposed Toastmasters marathon in January of this year, and he is proudly proclaiming that his Toastmasters journey to date has helped him grow individually and professionally. Please help me welcome Alex Benjik.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect. I'm assuming that everybody else can. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Linnell and the team for giving me the easiest job out of the bunch, because with the fact that everybody's on this call, I think that everybody is committed or at least curious enough to find out what Pathways has in store. With that, let's think back. And I would like everybody to type in the chat window the reason why they joined Toastmasters. What were you hoping to get out of your Toastmasters experience? And I'll pause with that as I read your comments and I go to my next screen. Great, I'm seeing some responses coming in. And as predicted, all of those responses will fall into generally 4 categories, which you will find yourself with any of those comments in one of the 4 categories that we have on the screen. One of them, first one, and for most of us, is confidence for speaking in public or improve our public speaking abilities. Our second one is leadership competencies, whether it's to lead an organization, whether it's to lead a team, whether it's to organize something, or whether it's to just facilitate a session like Lionel is doing great so far. Second or third point is organizational skills. Each one of us wants to be able to organize their day better, organize their workflow better, or at the end of the day, organize their speeches better. Last but not least, and this is what excites me the most personally about Pathways, is online expertise. In a traditional program, we did not have an opportunity to practice some of the skills that are relevant in today's day and age, such as blogging, such as video conferencing, such as creating a podcast. All of that is available within Pathways. The next step that we're going to do is I will show you how a typical path looks like, and we will go assignment by assignment to connect it to the traditional program as well, to show you how that relates to what you're trying to achieve. One of the paths that people choose often is called presentation mastery. So whether you are a new Toastmaster or a more seasoned Toastmaster, out of this path, you will get a lot of valuable insight, such as, so let's start. First speech, I think everybody is familiar with an icebreaker. Icebreaker, for the new members, it's invaluable because we learn something about that individual. And for the experienced members, and this is where I encourage all of you to do it again, is to shed a different light on your experience that is relatable to your path. What do I mean by that? Well, currently I'm working on 3 paths. So my first path, which was persuasive influence, I spoke about myself as if I was doing an elevator pitch. The effective coaching path that I'm working also, I spoke about myself from a perspective how I want to be a better coach and how I want to help people. I will not bore you with more details, but if you pause for a moment and think of how your icebreaker can be related to each experience that you're trying to achieve by completing that path, I'm sure you can come up with a number of them. Second and third assignment are pretty straightforward. All of you, whoever joins their path, and you'll be instructed how to do so later, will be able to find out what's needed in that. Therefore, I will skip the first level because that first level is essentially equivalent to a CC that we had before. It ends around the speech 7 in CC, which is research, using, and presenting. Once we go into level 2, this is where it gets interesting. Depending on your path, it becomes a bit more interactive. You will do some activities, you will do some additional readings, and you will discover yourself. You will discover what's your prevalent communication style and how you should highlight it, or which situation you should avoid. Again, effective body language that connects with a lot of people that want to be better presenters or better facilitators as well. Last but not least, we would want everybody to share the mentorship experience that they had, so that they can become better mentors and mentor others. Levels 3, 4, and 5 is where it really gets exciting. So let's say level 3. Well, some of you might want to be great toasters. Well, there's deliver social speeches. Some of you might want to be able to write better stories or create a blog. Therefore, there's using the scripting language. There's preparation for an interview that some members might need. There's even a networking exercise. Therefore, if you are trying to expand your business, you will get some tips about how to effectively network at networking events. I'm still working on that one. I will answer some questions later on as to what specific projects entail. I have completed a number of them thus far, so do save your questions for later. Level 4, you can see, contains some of the very, very innovative projects, such as building social media presence. Most of us use Facebook or any other type of a social media platform, but are we really good at presenting on it? Not sure. Well, there's your opportunity to find out. You can organize a public relations strategy, either for your club or for other company, and share your experience with the others. Then you do see the very first line, which it said, create a podcast. And that is something that we see more and more people getting involved. In our club, I believe we have 2 or 3 people that are currently working towards their podcasts. And they're saying that particular assignment was very valuable for them to tweak certain things that they're doing. And level 5, you can see that goes towards facilitation or towards leadership, because you do have an option to moderate a panel discussion. You do have an option of leading in your volunteer organization and sharing that experience. And of course, same as you had in a professional speaker advanced manual before, you do have an opportunity to prepare a 15 to 20 minute speech on the topic of your choosing and share it with your audience. It does sound a bit dry at first, but I promise you, if you ask the right questions, the answers will be way more exciting. With that, I'll give it back to you, Lionel, to send some questions my way.
Sounds great. Thanks for sharing that information, Alex. It's really helpful to see the overview of how it folds out as you progress through the levels. So we will open up the chat window for any questions. If you've got a question, feel free to type it in the window or take yourself off mute and jump in and ask your question.
Hi, it's Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
We may be talking about this later on, but one of the reasons I came on tonight was we wanted people who had been Toastmasters before to come back, and we do have a former member, and he is finding it very frustrating, and I can join that frustration. It sounds like very easy to go from level 1 to level 2, but it seems to be really complicated. There's videos and everything that need to be watched and such things, and I'm wondering, is that optional, or is that, I understood that once we've done this, the icebreaker, the speech, the evaluation, and all of those things for level 1, you reported that to your Ed VP, and you could then get unlocked to go to the next level, but that doesn't seem to be happening.
Okay. Well, I can definitely answer that question. I know it will be answered in a bit more detail later on by the two, but just to put your mind at ease, when something like that happens, when you request a level completion, your VP Education has to approve that level completion in Basecamp before you can progress to the next level. And that will be covered in our last session, I believe, that Dotun will be doing.
Okay, good.
And can I just add to that from my experience, it's almost been a two-step approach to get the approvals to go into Basecamp and have it approved. But then in addition, your VP Education would do exactly what they do in the traditional system, logging into the TI website to submit the level for the credit for that level. So both things need to happen in order to earn that designation for each level.
I did notice a great comment in the group chat that you do have to make sure that you do the pre-assessment and post-assessment in order for the system to pick up that the project is completed. That is absolutely correct, whoever typed that up.
Thank you. Good comment. Arlene's asking, where does she find this summary at? It's asking for the summary given by Alex. Are you talking about the one that's on his screen right now? I'm anticipating that might be what Arlene's looking for. So Dotan, when you send out the summary, I'm wondering if we can just include this PDF that Alex has on his screen right now, because it's a great reference to see an overview of the whole Pathways program.
Absolutely. And what I'll do, I will attach another file that has description of each project, and it's in alphabetical order. So therefore, with those two files, you can cross-reference as to what to expect as you progress through your path.
It's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter. Our presenter is Richard Lefebvre. Richard considers himself as the best Toastmasters employee ever. Until he gets this great position at Toastmasters International, he develops his skills as a woodworker and rocks the Pathways program. This future DTM has a passion for helping others to progress in their journey and to succeed as brilliant Toastmasters. So it's my pleasure to introduce one of our brilliant Toastmasters. Welcome, Richard Lefebvre.
Thank you very much, Lionel. And hi, everyone. So I will continue with how we navigate through Basecamp. First, I'm pretty sure a lot of you already started on Pathway. There's some aspect that will be something you know already, but if you don't, it's a good thing that I'm showing it. So once you logged in as a member, now you can click on Pathways. And from there, you go to Basecamp, go to Basecamp. Or if you haven't started on Pathway yet and you want to choose a path for the first time, you can click here, choose a path. So whether you choose a path or you go on Basecamp, you will be on that window. And from there, you're gonna go on Basecamp. Okay, if you realize if you belong to more than one club, by clicking this drop-down menu here, you will be able to choose from which club you want to work from. When you start, it doesn't really matter which one you're choosing. It's more when you finish your last project, because once you finish your last project, there will be an email sent to your VP Education, but VP Education from the club you're logged in. Some people mentioned that it goes to both. No, it just goes to the same there. So for now, I'm gonna choose from Forward Thinkers and go to Basecamp. Now in Basecamp, you can set up your profile. You will see here, for me, I have my picture, but for you, there will be an empty avatar. So click on it, and you will access other different things. Here you can upload a picture of you, and you'll see which club you belong to, and then you write a summary of yourself. Some people like to share who they are, and some others they want to keep it private. That's for you. However, other member from your club will be able to read a little bit about you. So it's nice to have that. And here, what we have there is some roles that you want to record that you did during the presentations, during the club meetings. What you see here is different activities that you want to share them. Okay, I like outdoor activities, computer, woodworking, dancing, and you can add some more depending what you want. I don't want to spend too much time on this one. That is really something that is up to you. Now, on the side here, no, sorry. From here, the search bar, I use it for two different things. Let's say you want to print your evaluation or somebody else's presentation evaluation sheet. Let's say the icebreaker. If I type ice, I will see here the evaluation sheet for the icebreaker. I can upload it from here. And you'll see different ones, they're different languages. For example, this one is for Arabic, Japanese, and so on. The first one will always be the English one, or whatever language you set up your default Toastmasters. And from there you can launch and get the evaluation results. One thing, when I started, I was really frustrated. Every time I wanted to go back to the home page, I would click here and nothing happens. So if you can see, I put the mouse there, the pointer, and I don't click right away. There's a small window appearing below, and that's where you click and you get back to home. For me, tonight, the session is not about how to go through the teaching, but more how to navigate through Basecamp. So from this window, you can see, you can launch your educational right away. But first, go to educational transcript, and you will see different options. So feedback here, it's where you can see feedback from other members. I'll show you later how you can send feedback. Well, let's do it now. If you want to send feedback to a member, again, on the search bar, you type the name of that member. If that member registered to Pathways, his or her name will be there. If she's not subscribed to Pathways, you won't find him. Let's say April, just for example. And then you hit enter. Let's try with a capital. Oh, I know what's going on. I'm not logged in with the club where she is, and I'm with Forward Thinkers. Let's see who's from Forward Thinkers. Gloria. There you go. Gloria Bosma, and then from there I can see her profile, and I can send feedback to her, clicking this and say, hey Gloria, I think you're awesome. I like what you're doing, and congratulations for winning the contest. You can give badge, whatever badge you feel like giving, and once you give the badge, it's, let's say, exceptional here. You post that, and then I can say Congratulations for winning the speech contest. Hope to see you win at district. And then you share. There you go. Now Gloria will receive feedback from me, and it's good to do that once in a while. It's just encouraging each other to keep going. So remember, you type the name of the person in this window, and once the name appear, it goes there. But you can also type the number, your club number, and you will see everybody that is subscribed to Pathways, and from there you can keep going. So now I see the time going by really fast. Again, going to my education transcript. You can see the projects in advance. Let's say here, effective coaching, that's the path I'm currently working on. You can start the educational right from here, or if you click the drop down menu here and you open curriculum, view training details. From there, you will see every project that you will be working on and the elective projects. Of course, you don't have to complete all of these effective elective projects. It says here, like for example here, minimum 2. So you need to choose 2 of these before you can complete the level. For here, it's level 3. The elective project, they start only at level 3. You have them at level 4 as well as level 5. Now, if you want to see a short description of what this project is about, you click on the drop-down menu right before the title, and there's here a small description. Of course, it's super brief, but it gives you an idea of what you're gonna work on. Let's see this one. This project addresses the skills needed to compose a speech for social occasion, including a toast, eulogy, an acceptance speech, and a speech praising an individual or group. So this is how you can see in advance the projects you will be working on. And you can see also if you launched it, when it says activate, that means that's where you're at and you can activate it. Now, something I want to show you is if you have educational transcript, if you have completed one level already and you want to go back because there were some projects you want to see again, as you can see, there's only effective coaching here, feedback, and other things that you can go. These are tutorials, video tutorials, and I invite you to go there. Here, actives. That means all the projects that are active I didn't complete. If you click on the drop-down menu, you can click completed, and from there you will see all the educational or even the videos that you've watched already. Here you can see innovative planning. It's the first project, the first path that I completed, and then you can still have access to it and see all the projects that's in there. Let's say, like I mentioned earlier, you need only 2 elective projects, but you remember there was one, let's say, focus on the positive that you really would like to work on again. You can still work on it. I'm going to click back. In the navigation, sometimes it's difficult. Let's say you're here, you just want to go back to the Pathway homepage. If I click here, I can't log in or change club. So what you need to do is to scroll down until you see that here. Return to Toastmasters Pathway start page. And from there, you'll come back to the Pathway starting page and choose another club. In the next session, I will explain, you see, go to Basecamp, but if you're a club officer, you will see another option, which I will show in another educational. I think at this point, I'll take the questions. We still have a few minutes for that.
Okay, sounds good. We've got a few in the IM window, so we'll start with those. Dave had asked who enters the meeting activity, and Myrna had said that you enter your own meeting activity. Does that answer your question, Dave?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. And then we had a question. When you submit the feedback, you gave a great demonstration of giving some feedback to Gloria. Will Gloria get an email notification that there is feedback, or does she just have to regularly go in and monitor her Pathways feedback section?
That's a good question. And no, she will not receive any email about it. She needs to go once in a while, see if she received feedback. That's the only thing. And there will be another thing for the club officers not receiving an email about the educational completion. So Pathway just invite you to keep logging into your account.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question from Tina in regards to the Competent Communicator Manual. So it looks like Tina is working through the traditional educational system. She's talking about completing 3 speeches in her CC manual, and she's just wondering if she should stay with the CC manual or if she should start on Pathways.
That's a question that comes across a lot. And yes, you have until June 2020 to work on those manuals. After June 2020, it doesn't matter if you complete, let's say you complete a speech in July, that speech is not gonna count. If you complete your manual, CC manual or CL manual in August 2020, you will not receive the CC or the CL designation. So as long as you complete those before June 2020, you can keep working in those manuals.
And just to clarify, Tina, you made a comment, you're talking about no credit for the speeches done. You'll always get credit, you'll always get feedback, you'll always have the opportunity for improvement with every speech that you present, but the credit would be given for completing a CC manual to get your CC designation. So the speeches, yes, you get credit for, but the designation in order to get credit for it would need to be completed before or by June 30th, 2020.
That's correct.
Okay, and then Myrna has a question about a number of our members do not know how to access the before and after assessments to be able to complete that project. Can you just walk us through that, Richard, on the screen?
I believe Doughton will cover that in his session.
Okay.
Doughton,
Yes,
can you
yes,
come?
I'll be covering that.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and Kathy is asking about what about the units before her path? Does she have to do the 360 evaluation, active listening, distinguished Toastmaster, etc.?
You don't have to listen all of these to be able to complete the projects, but it's good to know. That's how I came to understand how Pathway works. And it is very confusing if you just try on your own, but when you take the time to watch all those videos, it really helps to orient and understand how the platform works.
That's a good comment. And I usually equate the videos to, in the traditional model, actually reading the project. So the more that you read and understand. Okay. Juliana had just a question about, was this platform optimized for Windows?
I think so, but I mean, as you know, in the world of Windows or even technology, nothing is perfect when it first comes out of the door, and that's why you keep having updates and iterations of improvement. So it's just where it is right now in terms of this platform. So for example, even the Zoom that we are using, it's a mature solution, but guess what? There are some things that you run into, again, like window pop-ups, that sometimes the Windows just gets buried, again, depending on maybe even on your own end, the kind of browser you're using, because the way it will behave if you're using a Chrome browser is different from the way it will behave if you're using Internet Explorer. So there are multiple factors that could result into that. But the truth, again, is the fact that technology is not perfect. And we need to understand that and just know what works for you. And the more you use it, that's what you know what works for you.
Exactly. And myself, I have a Windows laptop. However, my desktop is a Linux-based computer, and my wife's computer is a Mac. So on the three platforms, on I can use Pathways easily, and it's just a matter of which browser you're using. So on Safari, it works as well. Maybe I can show, I'll share my screen again to show it quick. Something
And it
really
looks
quick.
like Juliana's using a Mac.
Yes, she's using a Mac, but it's still very good for using Pathways, because it's not the platform really, it's the browser. So I will go back to the Pathway start page, because if you click Pathway here and you click on frequently asked questions, from there you will see a lot of questions that you might have, and the answers are here. And there's one thing is how the pop-up blocker, which is, where was it? Can I use? Because the pop-up blockers is something that might need to be done. Let's see, control off. Okay, there you go. Why do I need to disable my pop-up blocker? If you click on the plus button there, it will explain you how to do it. And you see Apple Safari support. It will explain you how to remove your pop-up blocker from your Mac or whatever other browser you're using. So make sure you go, and that's Safari language.
I also found on the Toastmasters International website a list of compatible browsers. There's about 8-ish in the list. So Dotan, I'll email you this link, and if you just want to include that in the material you send out, then people can look through the list to see what they have that will match one of them on the list.
Yes.
Sure.
So
Perfect.
Again, shortly, how to find this. You click Pathway, frequently asked questions, and from there you can see all the questions that you might find answers to.
So our next presenter is Dotan Eliezer. Dotan's journey in Toastmasters started in October 2014. As a Pathways Ambassador, he has helped multiple clubs prepare for the rollout of the new Pathways educational program. As a member of the district's educational development team, Dotan facilitates club officer training sessions. For today's session, he will be walking us through how we can complete our Pathways projects. I'm pleased to introduce Dotan Eliezer.
Thank you. Ken, thank you for the introduction, Lena. And just jumping into this section, what I'll be doing is to walk us through the stages that we need to go through to complete our Pathways projects. Like anything in life, I think approaching it from the fact that you are working on a project, and if you don't have a plan for a project, the project is bound to fail. So I want us to take away certain things that will help us in the way we approach completing our projects in Pathways. Number one is that you need to have a plan. And if you go deeper in the way the program itself has been designed, you have lots of materials, tutorials, video content that you can watch so that you are grounded in the subject matter before you even try to do a speech. So I think that's one of the traps that we easily fall into, because coming from the traditional program, we have a manual in front of us, and those elements are still there, but subconsciously we do not know that we actually go through the process of also planning before we do any project in our manual. But we need to be very intentional when it comes to completing our project in Pathways. And that has to do with having a plan in place and leveraging the materials that have been provided for you to be able to plan well for each project. It may sound as, oh, this is additional work, but I find value in the sense that with the depth that has been put into the program, it actually helps you coming to the meeting to deliver your speech in a way where you already understand what you are trying to achieve. And so that's one key takeaway I want you to have, that please plan your projects properly, not just jump into it that I need to deliver a speech. It doesn't work that way in Pathways. Number two is that then you must go through the stages of preparing for your speech. And then number three is actually going through the stages of completing the assignment. And number four is that you need to come back into the platform to complete some closeout activities, which includes something like what has come on the session, that how do we go back in to do the post-assessment and then close out on the project itself. And then you repeat that those steps again for you to go on to the next project, complete one level, transition to the next level, and then it becomes repetitive. So that's how the program has been designed. But before I jump into the hour of doing some of these things, because of time, we won't be able to cover everything. But the key things that you should be looking out for, I will try as much as possible to cover. But let's look at this video where Graham walks us through the complete cycle of how to complete your projects in Pathways. Listen.
Hey everybody, let's take a look at how to complete a single project in Pathways. First, go to Basecamp and select your club. If you're a member of more than one club, you need to log in as a member. You don't need to log in as a Basecamp manager. It won't do you any good, even if you do, for this project at least. And once you're there, it'll take you to your individual Basecamp page. On your individual Basecamp page, click on My Education Transcript, because that's where all of your paths and all of your projects are being stored. You can see I've got quite a few. We'll go to Presentation Mastery, which is my most recent path. Click on Open Curriculum, and it'll show you what you've completed so far. In my case, I've done the icebreaker and the evaluation and feedback modules. Today, we're looking at the researching and presenting module or project. Click on Launch and it will launch a pop-up window, unless, of course, you've got pop-up blockers turned on, in which case you need to turn them off. That's dependent on your particular browser. You'll need to follow the instructions. Once the pop-up window opens, you'll notice that it doesn't open to full size. So you can either try stretching it to the right and stretching it down, but quite frankly, the easiest way of doing it is simply to expand to full screen. This is the navigation screen, which is common to all paths and all projects. You've got a left arrow, a right arrow, a next button, which is red or maroon if you like, and some further instructions. When you click on the right arrow, it takes you to the next page in your particular project. This project checklist is extremely useful. That will show you what you need to do to complete your project. Check on it. Now, when you're assessing your skills, you'll notice that you need to click on the red next button, because if you click on the right arrow, you only answer one question and then move on to the next section, and that's not something you want to do. So keep choosing what your skills are in your assessment and keep clicking next until eventually the next button becomes grayed out. That is the time that you then use the right arrow to take you to the next section, which in this case is learning about competencies. You'll also get to select a topic. In this particular project, you can download the research worksheet, which is really useful, and download the speech outline. Those are particularly useful for newer members, so I would suggest that you download them. Now, when you're researching a topic, you'll see that there is a red More button. Every time you click on that More, you get more information. If you were to just click the right arrow, then you would lose that information, and it is extremely valuable. So if you can see a red or maroon button, make sure you try to press it rather than just going straight to the right. Because if you do, you miss out on stuff that you need to know about. Eventually, as I say, the next button will be grayed out. That means that you cannot go next anymore. And that's when you move up to the right and use the right arrow to move to the next segment. In the next segment, we're going to see something interesting. This is where you have 4 red boxes. Each time you click on one of those, you get further information. And once again, if you see a red or maroon box, try clicking on it to see if you can get more information. It's going to be valuable to you. Eventually, you'll find out about citing sources or about why you should cite sources, and then you'll get to a quiz, which is what we have here. You have to pick, in this particular case, 5 sources that you think are going to be generally reliable. And the ones that they suggest are, for example, the New York Times and an interview with an expert and a university webpage. They actually say that Wikipedia is not a reliable source, but an encyclopedia entry is. I would argue about that because Wikipedia is at least self-healing, but I know that's the answer that Toastmasters want, so that's what I submit. And you get correct. Now you can move on. You know the difference between reliable and unreliable sources. Again, in organising speeches, don't just hit the right arrow, hit the next button, because that's where you get the information about the different types of organisation for your speech: the spatial, the casual, the causal, the comparative, the this then, the problem solution, all of those sorts of things. So once again, when you've got a grayed out next button, then you move to the next segment, which in this case is a summary of those speech organizational structures. Now, you'll notice before that I answered the first quiz. This is another quiz. What happens if you answer a question wrong? Well, let's take a look. I know this answer is wrong because when I click on it, it will say, not quite. Select the X button and move on. You get a chance to redo that question later. So I'll answer the next few questions correctly just to show you what happens. This particular case, it's a problem/solution style. Yes, that's correct. The next one is a chronological, because it's about what was happening, what is happening, what's next going to happen. So I'll click chronological and yep, that's correct. So when you get it right, you just get to move on to the next one. In this case, comparative is going to be the answer. But sometimes you get things wrong. And as I say, if you get things wrong, then it's no great drama, because while you can advance through, if you get a wrong answer, you simply get that question asked again. Thomas, for example, is asking about using a day in his office when he works with a colleague to approach a project positively. I'll give an incorrect answer here. No, that's not the answer I want, but that's all right. They'll ask me that again. Now, this is an easy one. This is a causal one, the connection between exercise and health. So by now we're back to the questions that I got wrong. So let's check whether we know what Peter's one was, which was about the different sorts of dogs. Yes, it's about specific topics of dogs, and so it was topical. But Thomas, now this is an interesting one. How you answer this might depend on your interpretation of the question. But once again, it doesn't really matter because it will keep asking you to answer the question until you get it right. So you can always go back and see why they suggest what they suggest. Information now on organising your speech. Again, there are no next buttons, so you just use the right arrow to take you to the next page, which is about reviewing and applying. The project checklist, which we referred to before, is still there. You'll notice there's a more button. Click on the more button to get more information. Click on the more button to get more information. Click on the more button to get more information, and then click on the right arrow to move to the next page. The evaluation page is interesting. The evaluation resource or guide is there, but also print my project. If you're one of those people who really likes a printed version, then print my project will put it in your hot little hands or your hot little PDF if you're going to read it off screen. You need to assess your skills after your project. I'm going to say I'm comfortable with selecting speech topics, so I'll choose a 5, and I'm comfortable with researching unfamiliar topics, so I'll choose a 5. I'm confident in my ability to organise, so that's a 5. The thing about this, though, is it's important that you actually use the next button. If I had hit the right button, I would not be answering these questions, and I therefore could not complete this particular project because you need to submit. And the only way to get to submit is by using the next button until you get to that point. So you now see what I thought about my skills before and what I think about my skills after doing this project. Once I've done that, congratulations, I have completed the project and I am ready to advance to the next project. Yes, ready to advance. Those are the key words. So once you've done a project and clicked on submit at the end, that's when you can move to the next project. And as we go back to the Basecamp page, you'll see that it's ready to evaluate. I can say what I thought of the project, that I thought it was a good project or a bad project. I can then click on activate to complete that level because that will be the last project in level 1. So that's how to complete an individual project and, in this case, how to complete a level as well. I hope it was useful and I hope you're enjoying the journey in Pathways.
So that's how to complete the project in Pathways. And I'll just take time now to break this down again, going through the stages and covering some of the key steps that you need to be aware of. And also, as a recap, show you certain things that you may have missed because the video went by so fast. And I can see a question in the chat window saying that is there a link to this video? We have a link to the video and so many other videos. All this will be coming again through the information that we'll be sharing with you in the list of resources. So just stay cool. You have more than enough to work on. But then again, let's get back. What have we gone through? So in stage 1, about accessing your path, again, is about getting into that main page to access your path first. Know which curriculum is active, and I'll be showing you what you should be looking out for because sometimes it is confusing. After you access your path, then you launch the project, and then you review the material. That is very important. You review the material so that you have a good understanding of where this material is coming from. What are the objectives? What are the things that I should be looking out for if I really want to benefit from this project? And then step 4, complete the pre-assessment. So completing the pre-assessment helps you to set a baseline of where you are at before you actually complete the assignment. If you don't do that, you won't know what has improved or which areas you may need to still work on after you complete the assignment. So that's why this step 4 in stage 1 is very important. In stage 2, now before we go to stage 2, now let me show you certain things you should be looking out for when you launch the project or when you want to access the path. So in the home page, you'll find these helpful buttons in Basecamp. There are 5. One is the navigating Basecamp, the educational transcript, and so forth. So the one that says education transcript, access my path. That's one way through which you can get to your curriculum and launch your project. Or this other shortcut screen here at the bottom, and you can find that there are a number of things listed there, but the one that says open curriculum is the one that will take you directly to the path that you are working on in Basecamp. But what if you decide to click on this other one, which says access my path? That's a little bit tricky because it will give you a list of things that you've accessed in Basecamp, and then it becomes confusing on how to actually identify where your path is. But the easy way to be able to do that is for you to look for the one that has the books icon as highlighted here. When you see anyone with the books icon, those are the active parts that you have. And again, it will be showing to the right, open curriculum. So that's just one tip or trick that you should pay attention to. So in step 2 then, launch project. So again, you must have seen this in the windows that were displayed before. One will show you activate. When you see anything that says activate, it immediately tells you that these are new lessons that you have not even accessed before. So that's where you should be starting off from if you are just launching on a path. And most likely that will be starting off with your icebreaker. But for things that you have accessed previously, you would see it as launch. And so, as the video explained, there is a trap in that, because for some reason, when you click on either of these buttons, there's a tendency for the window to not open to full size. And people will say, hey, I just saw a page, I don't know what to do next. Okay, there's something to do. What you need to do is to maximize that window by going to the far right corner and clicking on that sign, because when you do, then you will add the navigation controls. And that's when you know that you have the windows opened in the right size. Because in these two windows, as you have seen in that demonstration, they are very important in how you are able to progress through the material if you decide to access it through the platform. So this drop-down menu, for example, will show you how you can skip from one thing to the other without going through the whole material sequentially. In step 3, reviewing the material, again, the page that says your evaluation is very important, because then that answers some concerns. Some people have to say, hey, for some reason, I still want my material in printed form. Oh, it's easy. Pathways has not changed that. Just click on the link that says print my project, and the entire outline for that project will be in that PDF file. That's a very quick way for you to have something like as you will have today in your manual. And so for me personally, that shouldn't be something that becomes a showstopper to say, oh, there are so many videos to watch in Pathways, it's too much work. Guess what? Just print your project and you have the entire outline without having to go through all the videos. Even those, as I would say, I think it's very beneficial for you to watch those videos because it carries a lot of depth in them. And then, of course, the other material there is the evaluation resource, which is also something you would take along with you to your meeting and hand over to whoever will be evaluating you. Let's go to the next stage here. So prepare for your speech. Again, 4 key steps there. And as I look at these 4 key steps, really, it's what we are already doing in the traditional program. Print materials is essentially saying, bring your manual to the meeting. Schedule your speech, you still have to do that today in traditional program. You just need to let the VP of Education know, let them schedule it in advance so that you are motivated to work towards completing the speech. And then, of course, go back to the materials you've printed out or that you choose to access online and start working towards developing the speech. One thing I find useful, though, is that in the list of materials, there's one that says speech outline. Very useful material, because what that material does is that it continues the job of a mentor. You would know that in the traditional program, it's customary that the only time you probably have access to a mentor helping you develop your project is the first 3 speeches that you do in the CC manual. But guess what? With this speech outline material, it continues the job to some extent, the work of a mentor, because it guides you step by step on how you can construct a very polished speech in little time. So I find that very useful. So I would encourage you that you use that material for every speech that you want to develop in Pathways. And then, of course, step 4 is still the same. You have to rehearse, practice, 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 and be ready to deliver your speech. Stage 3, then is when you go through the process of just completing the assignment, delivering the speech, receiving the feedback again. Pathways has not changed that process. It's what we do today. When you receive the feedback, you get the completed evaluation material back from your evaluator. And then that's where you now need to come back into the platform, as it was described in the video, for you to close out on some activities. First being that you get back in to do the post-assessment, because if you do not go through that step, the platform will not recognize that you have completed that project. And optionally, if you want to upload the evaluation form, there's even an avenue for you to do that, because then you now have a single repository where you can easily access all your evaluation materials. And finally, you mark the project as completed. So just to demonstrate again, what can you do if you choose to put all your evaluation materials in one place? Graham will walk us through this very short video on what that looks like. Stay tuned.
Let's look at how you upload evaluations which you have been sent to your Basecamp. Now, there's no need to do this, but if you want to, you can. In this case, we're going to upload the evaluation form that I was sent after I had done my icebreaker. The person who did it wrote it out on paper, then scanned it and sent it to me. So you go to Pathways, go to Basecamp, and once you're at Basecamp, you then, of course, log in as a member. Once you're logged in as a member, in the top right-hand corner, you'll see your universal profile. That's your picture. If you click on that, you'll find that there are tabs like feedback and transcript and e-portfolio, which is what we're going to use here today. Click on e-portfolio and you'll see the badges that you've been sent, and also a folder full of your documents. This is where you would place your evaluation forms if you're going to upload them. You don't need to. You can keep them on your computer at home, or you can just keep them in paper the way you always have. But if you want to, this is how to do it. We're going to add the files, and in this case we're simply going to drag and drop the files, because I know exactly where they are on my computer. I simply highlight them, drag them and drop them into the add file box. And then, as I say, it's simply a matter of clicking on the add button and voila, there they are. They're now available from any internet accessible computer in the world, should I wish to look at them later. And more importantly, should I wish to compare how I performed at my icebreaker to how I'm performing now. Once you've done that, simply click on the home button and that'll take you back to the Pathways Basecamp, which is where you want to be to move on to your next project.
So that's how you would complete the process of uploading your material, evaluation material, if you choose to, into the Basecamp. Finally, in stage 5, so essentially there are 5 stages here in completing your project. The first then is that after you've completed that process, you've marked the current project as complete, then you'll be able to launch the next project, and then you repeat all the steps that we've just gone through for that particular project. You get to the end, mark, and by the end, you've gone through one level, you mark that level completed, your VP of Education needs to submit in 2 stages, as was mentioned earlier. One, so when you click complete in the level, they receive a request in Basecamp. I'm sure Richard will cover that for Basecamp managers who are online. When they approve that request, that's the first step. Then you can advance to the next level in Basecamp. But there's a second step, which is that they need to go into Club Central and file for that award. And as I go through some of the things, trying to ensure that our division, for example, is on top of educational awards, I find out that there are some gaps in that. So that's something you need to watch out for, because if the award is not filed in Club Central, officially it will not be recognized that you have completed a level. So it won't register to your profile. Number 2, the club will not be able to gain credit in the DCP program for that level completion. So it's a 2-step process in the Pathways program.
Quick time check, you have 1 minute left.
Okay. And then, of course, when you finish that level, you advance to the next level. And that's just what it looks like. You must click on the mark complete, sends the notification to your VP of Education. They go through the 2-step process, and then you are good. So, and at this point, I think I've covered my material for the purpose of this session, and I'm just opening it up to Q&A.
Sounds good. So we've got a question in the IM window, so we'll go through those ones first. We had the original one from Myrna, which was asking you to do the demonstration on how to do the pre and post evaluations, and I think that was covered. Myrna, do you have any other questions about that? And then the other question is from Tina. This is a great observation, Tina. You're talking about Pathways appears to be more supportive in prepping for your speech, a little bit more so than the Competent Communicator Manual. So if a mentor is not available through the club, would it be more beneficial to switch to Pathways instead of continuing on in the Competent Communicator Manual?
It will be beneficial to move to Pathways for sure. But this is if the member has not put in too much work in the completion of the CC manual. Pathways has more competencies, it has more resources, it has more materials. The same quality of materials that your mentors will need to access anyway is what is already available in Pathways, so it makes sense to access that. But if the member has just 1 or 2 speeches to complete in the system manual, they might as well just do so before moving over to Pathways.
Okay, and that makes sense for sure. And I think that, you know, we also want to keep in mind that there's a lot of flexibility until June 2020 about which educational program to use. So each Toastmaster can kind of evaluate that for themselves. The other one that Tina commented about was, she says, completing Pathways. Does that give you a CC title also?
No, it's a different program. It won't give you a CC title. The CC designation is earned through the traditional program when you complete the 10 projects in the Competent Communicator Manual. So there are no crossovers.
In Pathways, you'll earn different levels, Tina, as you go through the different projects. Okay, and then Tina says, so the materials can be accessed even if not using the Pathways system? And
that's correct. You could, when you are going through the enrollment at the beginning, you could decide to say you are not using the online materials and pay $25 extra for the printed materials to be mailed to you. Or if you choose to go through Basecamp, which is what from the rollout starts, that's 95% of the people are choosing that, it still doesn't take away from you your ability to print out whatever you need when you need it. And you have access to more additional materials in different formats, as we have seen.
And I wonder if Tina's question is also about how to access that pathways information. So you cannot see the content until you actually select a path. Is that right, Dotan?
In most cases, yes, but there are also ways in which you can, for example, if the club takes it on itself to download some of those materials into a shared folder. I have a shared folder that has the evaluation materials for all the projects. I've been to some clubs where they have a folder, a binder of that contains a copy of all those evaluation materials ready to go.
Okay. Perfect. So the club can maintain that. Okay, we've got 2 more questions in the chat window, so we'll go through those ones. Then we'll move on to the next presentation. If we've missed some questions, we'll capture them at the end. So the final 2 questions for this section, Myrna was asking just one other thing to show could be the drop down on the pop-up screen that had the next buttons on it. So those were those maroon next buttons that you were going through when you did, for example, the self-evaluation.
Yeah, I'll quickly, how much time do we have now? I'll quickly do that.
Yeah, we have about a minute, so we can go through that.
Okay, let me just log on to Basecamp here. So I will just walk through how you would need to complete the assessment before you complete your assignment. And then when you have completed your assignment, how you complete a post-assessment, because if you skip any of these 2 or both, you will not be able to mark the project as officially completed in the Basecamp. So here, let's assume this is what I'm working on right now. Let's assume that I want to complete a project and I have one that I've already accessed. Click on launch. There it says, congratulations, you have completed this project. So what we were saying earlier on, when you launch any of these windows, you need to maximize. So you can see all the navigation controls, the drop down and the controls for going back and forth. And I'll just go to the beginning. So, and that's what you usually get in any of the projects. There's the need for you to assess your skills before. So I've done that for this project. If you remember what the video says about these buttons, very essential that rather than click on this right button when you have this, you need to complete this first and then you go to this. So let's assume I've not done this before. I choose my option, click on next, choose the option, click on next until I get to the end where it will gray out. And if I had not done this before, it will also give me a submit button at the bottom there. And when I click on submit, it registers my responses. So that's what I need to do for the assessments completion before. If I've completed the project, you see where it says assess your skills after. So before, after, that's how you can do that. And it will have given me, it will give you the same choices as we did for the before. When you complete that, you click on submit, then it registers this and comes up with this window. You have successfully submitted your responses. Compare your initials to your new, so that you can see how you've improved or if there are still areas where you need to work on. And I think that answers your question.
Perfect. Okay. And Myrna's meaning, she said, select to move to another section. So that would be the drop down that's in the bottom center, that one there. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
that
I think
one
we've
there.
answered your question, Myrna. And if not, you can just jump in the next Q&A section. So I will finalize just by reading off this final question here. Great question from Shannon. So she talks about, will we be talking about keeping track of the leadership credit and the meeting roles throughout pathways? There was a comment about, for example, club officer involvement. And so because we no longer have a competent leader manual, those projects are sprinkled throughout the pathways. So do you want to speak to that one? How do we find those projects?
So just briefly, so not every, so the way the program itself has been designed is to somewhat integrate communication with leadership, even though there are still some distinctions between that, but they've tried to integrate both. And what that means is that there are some projects that you need to complete, which requires that you take on certain meeting roles. And if I go to, you can see on the right corner there, it says my account. When I click on that, it gives me the opportunity for me to actually log when those things happen, depending on what project that I need to do, that is asking me to also sign on to be maybe a general evaluator or a grammarian, in order for me to be able to satisfy the requirements for that project. So yes, there are some projects that you still have to do these things in order to qualify in pathways, but they are not calling it, as in the traditional program, competent leadership. Because as I said, the whole idea is really to take it to a higher level, the next level, integrating communication and leadership into one thing, holistic. That's the whole idea.
So Jatan, the roles that you're displaying now, are they all associated with one project?
No, it's not with
multiple?
one project.
Okay.
It's scattered all over, but wherever you come across any project that says you must also sign up to be one of these things, when you are done with that project, you need to come and log it on here on when you served, when you fulfill that role. So there's a record in your profile that you've actually completed those things.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Shannon?
There's nothing else to click here. Click on write. Project checklist is a way, is something you should need to always access so that you can plan for each project. And that was what I was talking about. This checklist is good because it helps you to plan properly. So that's the first thing you want to download. And I just closed that window by mistake. So let's relaunch it. Hopefully it's going to simulate something else, which is what I was looking for. You can see I launched the button there. Something happened, but I can't see anything. Guess what? That window is buried. And people will say, oh, I clicked on it, nothing came up. Yeah, it did. So the way you go about that is that since I'm using Google Chrome, you right click or you mouse over and you can see that's the window I'm looking for. It was buried. It actually launched, but it was buried. So that's the way you bring it back up. That's another trap for you to watch out for. When you click on something, the screen flickers, but it's like, where's my window? It's buried. You just need to mouse over the icon on your taskbar, which is the thing at the bottom, the menu at the bottom, and then the window opens and you can click on it and brings it up. So if you click keep advancing that way, then we have these buttons. But let me go back because there's another useful information here. The one that says more information, when you click on that, it just gives you some context to the window that you're looking at. It says your speech can be persuasive, humorous, informational, or crafted in any style that appeals to you and supports your speech content. So it's just giving you the context on how you can approach working on your speech there. Click on write, and these are the buttons that we're looking for. So as it was mentioned in the video, if I just click on this, I miss some information. I need to click on next. Here is asking me to assess my skills, which is the next thing you want to do. And the reason why that is important is that it helps you to baseline your current skill level so that you can see how you have improved after you complete the project, or if there are still areas where you need to work on something in order for you to be able to meet the requirements. So you click on next, answer that, click on next, click on next, click on next. Now it's grayed out. If I had not answered this before, it will give me the submit button at the bottom there, and when I click on the submit button, then it goes on to register my responses. So now that it's grayed out, I'm going to click on the right navigation control to advance to the next page. That's the way you walk through the project if you choose to go through the material online. Otherwise, as we said, the easy way is for you to just let's do this. Is for you to come to here, your evaluation, click on print my project. It launches the file, so 17 pages, all that we're going through back and forth, everything is contained in this material. You can store this material to your local as a PDF and print it in paper form. So that's the trick or the tip for you to use Basecamp as if you have your manual that we use today in the traditional program. So let's go back here. You will see that window was buried again, but I just had to access it through my task manager. So it's back up. I want to show you another thing. How do you complete the assessment afterwards? So let's assume you've completed your speech, you've received the evaluation. Now what do you do to close out the project? So automatically, if you've gone through the steps, it will bring you back to this page where you can complete your evaluation or your post assessment. But I also want to show you something here, because that was mentioned in the video. You see where it says more, click on the more, not the right button, because it gives you more information. More, it gives you more information, more, until you don't see anything, then you can click to the right. So you've gone through all that, then this is what comes up if you've gone through the steps. You came back into the platform to close out on the project. It now gives you the option to complete the assessment afterwards, which I did, and I can see the before and after, so that if there's still something I'm struggling with, I can decide to do the project one more time until I feel comfortable that I've achieved the level of competency that I'm looking for. So let's get back here. I close that. One other thing I probably would like to show to you, what if you decide to give your speech outside of the club? In the traditional program, I think you are allowed to, when you're working on any manual, whether it's the CC or the advanced manuals, you can only do 2 of the speeches outside of your club. In Pathways, that restriction has been lifted. And now you can decide to use opportunities like in the workplace to deliver a presentation, mark it as credit in your pathways. You do something for a friend, maybe a birthday thing, a wedding speech thing. All those opportunities that comes our way, we can actually leverage them to complete our projects. But there's a process to doing that, and that's what I'll be showing to you right now. In order for you to schedule any speech for completion outside of the club, this is how you go through that process of submitting a request to your VP of Education so that you can receive approval to proceed. You go back to the home page, click on your education transcript. I show that again. It's this blue button, not the one that says open curriculum. You click on that helpful button. It gets you to the education transcript page, and you will see this square button is the options button. When you click on that, it says add external training. Click on add external training and you complete this information. When you click on submit, your VP of Education receives the notification. They assess what you want to do, how you want to approach the completion of the assignment. If it's okay, they approve it. And once that is approved, you can go ahead to complete your project. When the project is completed, you come back in and submit in Pathways so that they can go through approving the project completion. That's the way that works.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move on to our next presenter, and same thing, I'll ask you to just hold your questions and we'll take them at the end of the presentation. So it is my pleasure to welcome back our Toastmaster who is rocking the Pathways program. Richard is going to share with us information about Basecamp Management. So welcome back, Richard Lefebvre.
Thank you very much, Lina.
You're welcome.
Share, I will share this. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, let's go back. There's 3 persons that are very important in your club: is the president, VP Education, and the secretary. These 3 office roles have access to accept your not to accept but to submit your educational completion. Now I will log into my other club, because as of this club here I don't have any office role, but on this one I'm a Basecamp manager. Oh, no. Let's go back. I did not do it well properly. Okay, so now I click on it. Now they confirm that this is the club I want to work from, and I say yes by clicking on continue, and then you can see login as Basecamp manager. You log in as a Basecamp manager, and from there you will see pending request, member progress, and some tutorials about your role. I will encourage you, if you have any of these office VP Education, secretary, or being the president, watch this for more detail on you need to do in Basecamp. So when one of your members complete a level, you will receive a notification by email saying that there's a pending request, or you can simply log in as a Basecamp manager and go there, click pending request. So during those past 2 weeks, I hope that one of the member completed one level, so I could just show you exactly what you will see. Unfortunately, no one did. So right now I have no pending request. They will be here. You will see the name of the person, what path, and this will be online, the date you completed, and options. From the options, there's two icons. One will be an X to say that no, you don't approve it, and the other one will be a check mark. So make sure that you click on the check mark, and once you click on the check mark, you will be able to write some notes. You don't have to write notes. It's just for you alone, but for myself, I haven't written notes in every, but some, yes. In Basecamp, you can approve a level completion for yourself as the VP Education, President, and Secretary. There is possibility you can do it for yourself. But like we mentioned, there is 2 steps. The first step is to approve it from Basecamp. And this is how we do it. The second step will be in submit the educational award in Club Central, which I will show a little bit further. Now let's go back. Let's go back there. And this is where you can see your members' progress in Toastmasters. If, especially for the VP education, when you want to see how your club's going and who's moving forward or not, this is where you can see that. Pathway progress, these are the paths that are activated within the club. You can click on individual progress, and from there, you'll be able to see I think, yeah, it's not finished. Wow. So the connection is long. Once you logged in there, just keep going and you'll see here title effective coaching. There's one person that is at level 1 here. And innovative planner, there's one person that is at level 2, but I'm pretty sure there's more because that is me and I completed that. You'll see it. There you go. Level 4. Also, path type. You can have, let's go back here, path in progress. And if you click that drop down menu here, you can view in details. And I will make it bigger so you can see that. And you'll see who's subscribed to those paths, where they're at, and you can keep following that. What's in progress, and most of the time you'll see that there's 3 from here. effective coaching, there's one member that has it in progress, and it's Roxanne. And you can see that she did not complete that. There's 3 in innovative planning.
Richard, can you just scroll down on your screen so we can see the bottom half?
That's the extent of it.
Okay.
Right here, I don't know if you see that. That's the very bottom of my screen.
Okay, just so you know, we're not seeing any of the individual names.
No, exactly.
But that's fine. People can experiment on their own and see them. Thanks.
And then you can simply close that window. So it's just different views to see what your club is at, but to better understand it, it's really just log in there and play with it a little bit. Now, I want to go back there. The tutorial, like I said, it's for you to click on it and to watch the videos. Hopefully it's not gonna start Basecamp Manager and everything there. How to what's going on, what you do once you complete a level for this video. You might wanna watch this one. Okay, I'm moving on to the Club Central. To access the Club Central, you will need to go to the Pathway Start page from here. And from there, Leadership Central, click on it, and you'll see on the left, Club Central, that option there, and you click on it. You can manage only, you won't access the Club Central if you're not an executive in the club you logged in. Submit education awards. And then you just go through the process by selecting a member, let's say April here. And from there, you will see different select educational program. You click on the drop-down menu again, and the path competent leader. You click on this. That's the path she's subscribed to, and from there you will see what level or is it competent leader. Okay, no, sorry. Online innovative planning level 1. So once you finish that, I can submit this. As you can see, I don't have any options for other levels. You can submit only one level at the time. The member need to complete that level before it enters here and that you can submit it. And after you pick this, you just keep going with the rest. Review our submission. Review, and then you can submit, but I won't submit it for now. That process, you cannot do it for yourself. You can approve a project from Basecamp, but in Club Central, you cannot do it for yourself. So if you are the VP Education, the president, or the secretary, you need to ask one of the 2 other members to submit that award for you. So in my club, it's a little bit difficult because I have to ask my president and to show him every time how to do it. But it is possible if you just go with the same thing, the same process. But again, you cannot, in Club Central, you cannot submit the educational award or completion for yourself. And I think, oh yes, the last thing I want to show is how you can support a member that doesn't have online access. pathway, choose a path. You want to order printed material like Doughton mentioned, and you click here, choose your path for another member. Club you are purchasing for, okay, like I am connected as for Saskatchewan Toastmasters, so here it confirms that the member I will order the material for is from Fort Saskatchewan Toastmasters Club. And then you continue to path. From there, you will see what path printed material, $45 US plus 25 material fees. And then you just keep going, select for which member, and you follow the path that member will receive by mail the entire book. At the beginning, we've been told that you receive the first 2 levels, and then once you complete the other level, you will receive the other ones. But what actually is happening is Toastmasters International ship the entire path at once, and you can already start. When a member complete 1 level, you go on the Club Leadership Central and you submit the completion award. Same thing for Basecamp. I am not sure, maybe Doughton or Alex can answer that question, but definitely you just need to go into Club Central to submit the award. The VP Education, President, and the Secretary are the 3 persons who can submit those education awards. And for now, I will take the questions.
Okay, so we've got some questions coming up in the IM window. We'll start with Arlene talked about, and this was when you were displaying the member progress screen. She said there's a tutorial that's obsolete. So I'm not sure which tutorial that is, Arlene, if you want to jump in and be specific about that. It was when you went into member progress, so inside Basecamp, and then you had the different paths, member progress. And I see to the right of it, there's manager tutorials. I think those ones are still relevant, Arlene. So this was the screen that was showing when Arlene typed her comment about the tutorials not being relevant. So Arlene, I would recommend, if you're seeing that, submit feedback to Toastmasters International. I've done that a few times on the website, and they've updated and changed things to make sure that links are working and information is relevant, etc. So I don't see a link on this page to a tutorial. So if you want to come off mute and just kind of let me know a bit more information, Arlene, we can look into that. And otherwise, you can submit your feedback to Toastmasters International.
Arlene, I've just taken you off mute. Do you want to speak?
Thank you, Linnell. I'll talk to Toastmasters.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, and then Shannon made a comment, which I agreed with Shannon when I first used this dashboard. She kind of finds the dashboard unhelpful because she wants to see the member names and the progress. And I know that Myrna put a comment in a little bit later. If you go into the individual progress, you click on the options and you can view details. And that was the one that Richard was talking about, but we just couldn't see the bottom of his screen. So that will show you the details of which members are in specific paths. So I'm hoping, Shannon, that would give you more information. So then in the top right, see where it says options. When you click on the options drop down, oh sorry, maybe it was one screen down, you can click on details and it'll tell you every member and which path they're working in.
I believe it's in path progress, and from there you click on details, view details.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Then
Shannon,
you
that will
should.
give you more visibility to the paths they're working on. And Myrna, I know you said that you can see those details. I haven't been able to find what level they're working on, so I'm not sure if anybody has some feedback on how to view that information.
Okay, so definitely not this window. Recently selected. Let's see that one. Myself, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Okay, Shannon says thanks. So I think we've answered her question that at least she can see the path that everybody's working on.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we did have one leftover question from Juliana from the last presentation. She was just asking if there's a path that requires club officer involvement. So we talked about the leadership, but we didn't talk specifically about club officer involvement, and I would tag on to that district leadership involvement. Where do those fit in pathways?
So these, they're not addressed in pathways. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, for example, in the traditional model, when you worked through your leadership path, your stream, when you got to advanced leader bronze, you had to be a club executive officer. That was a requirement of it. So are there any of the paths that require you to be a club officer?
No, every path, it's only from level 1 to level 5. Once you completed those, it's done. On level 5, most of the paths include a high level project that you complete, and this used to be the same as once you complete the CL, you can complete another educational, and that would be your high level how they call it,
high performance management.
Yes.
High performance.
Yeah.
Exactly, and those are in level 5. I will show here. Let's go pathway here.
While you're looking for that, Leslie, I have a question. Just a clarification. The pending requests, that goes to, if I'm wanting a pending request, I send an email to my Ed VP. Is that how it gets into that box?
It will go to your VP Ed, President and Secretary. They should receive an email saying that there is a pending request.
So that I click on pending request to tell them that I want to now have that I finished my level 1.
No, that will be, let's come here. Once you complete your level.
I didn't want to interrupt what you were doing before, but I thought while you were looking, I would ask the question.
Yeah, this one is that question is more important than the other one. But let's say here, open curriculum, effective coaching. Once you complete your level, that's your level completion. You'll, well, let's go to level 2. Okay, I need to complete this. Once I complete this, there will be another window appearing here, another like this. You click activated and then launch. After that, your VPN will receive the notification. But
okay.
It's done here once you completed all these levels.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Now if I
whether there's any club officer requirements for any of the paths.
It doesn't require that you complete any of these club officer roles for pathway levels. Once you want to have something else, like your DTM, those things change. But if you just want to work in pathways, you can.
And I'll just add that if you go into the Pathways FAQs. Question number 22 talks about the DTM award, and there's a really good detailed list of what you need to earn your DTM. All the specifics are there. We will turn it back over to Dotun. So Dotun's going to pull all of this material together for us and give us a nice summary and a wrap up of the session. So welcome back, Dotun Eliezer.
Thank you. Okay, so putting all this together, thank you first of all for showing up. It shows your commitment that you really want to move the needle, and so we really appreciate that. And it just comes to one simple thing, like anything in life. Tony Robbins says that for you to succeed in anything, 80% of that is actually about the mindset. You want to lose weight, you want to achieve financial independence, whatever it is, 80% of the game is about your mindset, the attitude you bring into it. So for Pathways, it's not different, because we are actually working within what you call a digital platform. And what that means is that if we try to bring the mindset that we are accustomed to in the traditional program, which actually is the analog mindset, into a digital environment, it won't work. We need to adopt the digital mindset for us to be able to walk through the pathways, because it's a digital platform. And so attitude is very key into being able to overcome some of the challenges that we see, because no platform is perfect, no technology is perfect, no material is perfect. There's always room for improvement. That's number one. Number two, all what we've covered today, as much as we've tried, and there's still so much more to cover, guess what? Those only constitute 20%, because they are just the mechanics. So we've shared with you some of the tips, some of the tricks, some of the traps. All those are just the mechanics, and it's 20% of the game. For you to be able to benefit from that 20%, going back again, we need to have the right mindset, saying that, yes, this may be challenging. I'm just getting used to the platform. But guess what? I love the fact that I'm working with a program that now has 300 competencies. That's huge. And so with that, we can actually do a lot more. And that's why I would like to share this quick success story of a club that naturally they will have said right from the get-go, we need to work in this program in a platform where in our environment we don't have access to regular power supply. For us to be able to access internet, decent connection is very expensive. This will not work. But guess what? When they chatted in July of last year, I had the opportunity of co-chartering and co-mentoring them. They put all that aside because they were so hungry for success, and I was amazed how they went on to move over those challenges and actually get running with the program. Don't get me wrong, initially they had some questions, like everyone, but the minute they were able to connect the dots of how the program works, guess what? They just went full blown. And today, we have 83% of enrollment in Pathways in that club. They've completed at least 18 levels, 1 path completion. And for their DCP, a new club in its first year, they now have 9 DCP goals. Same program, very challenging environment, but they just said, you know what, we love this. We don't mind whether it's going to cost us a little bit more, because to get on the internet in our environment is expensive, but we love this program and we're just going for it. So that just comes back to the fact that it is possible. As I said, it's not perfect, but it is possible for us to actually take this on the home run in our district. And we've been doing something very good as well, because when I looked at the record in District 99, to date, we have 627 educational awards. But guess what? 49% of that is actually in Pathways. So we are not doing badly at all. Richard, who is on the call today facilitating, Alex, they've done multiple completions in their part because, again, they saw something in it. And it's just true to anything that we want to approach in life. Because as Michael Jordan says, he has always believed that when you put in the work, the results will come. And that's why I'm fully confident that if Sunshine Toastmasters could have done it in their environment, they had to put in the work, don't get me wrong. I am fully confident that if we will put in the work as well in District 99, we will make this happen and we will take it on the home run because we're already on that path. So thank you once again for joining the call. We can do a lot more when we have the digital mindset to adopting pathways. And with that, I just want you to say to yourself, it is possible. Because yes, I know it is possible. Over to you, Lionel.
Excellent, thank you. Perfect, so I will wrap up the whole evening of training, and on behalf of the D99 educational team, again, thank you everybody for attending. I think there were perhaps just a few questions we didn't quite get to, so I'll just invite you to type them into the chat window and we'll make sure that we capture them and get some emails out with the answers as well. So we'll just go through some final announcements and some wrap up. So our first announcement is the exciting District 99 conference, which will be held in Saskatoon, May 3rd to 5th. So you're certainly encouraged to register for a portion of that or the entire weekend. There will be keynote speakers, tons of educational sessions. Please make sure your club is represented for elections. So if your club president or VP Education is not available, be sure that you're sending a proxy. There's also a bus going. So if you're interested in that, you can email us and we'll get you some more information about that. And of course, lots of information on the D99 website about how to register. The other announcement is in regards to the Toastmasters Leadership Institute. So another great learning opportunity, fantastic for all your members. It's a full day session. It includes the club officer training, lots of keynotes, breakout educational sessions. It is in Edmonton on June 8th, and the location is to be determined, but keep an eye on the District 99 calendar. There'll be more information about that session as well. And one more announcement that's not on a slide, but it is on the calendar, the District 99 calendar. There is another Pathways session coming up. It'll happen on June the 4th, and it is called Pathways, Tips, Tricks, and Traps. So another webinar via Zoom, June 4th from 8 until 9 p.m. And same information is on the D99 website calendar, so you can go there to get more details about that. So I will wrap it up, and just a reminder that we'll get some emails out to you with lots of links, some information. The recording will be shared. Watch for that email coming your way. If you do have any questions, certainly send them to Lana Sweeney. She's our Program Quality Director, pqd@d99tm.org, and we will make sure that we get back to you by email. There's also a survey that's going to be mailed out, so please ensure that you're giving us feedback, because of course we're Toastmasters and we thrive on the feedback that you're going to provide us to just help us enhance our presentations the next time that we do this. So I will conclude by saying again, on behalf of the district's educational development team, thank you all for attending. I wish you immense success on your Toastmasters Pathways learning journey. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you so much, and good night.